Losing a loved one is hard enough, but then there's what comes after, the funeral arrangements. In your hardest days, at least there is some solace in knowing that someone is there to make sure everything aligns with your loved one's wishes. In this next episode of Open Here, I sat down with Dan Holland, funeral director for Cartmel Davis Funeral and Cremation. I'm with Dan Holland, who is the funeral director for Cartmel Davis. Welcome. It's so good to have you here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I have to ask, this isn't like your run-of-the-mill industry. How did you break into it?
So I went to school with, at the time, the owner, Kathy Cartmel's son and daughter. So I kind of had that relationship with them. And I started parking cars when I was 17 years old and worked my way up, never left. Yeah.
What kind of qualifications do you have to have in order to get into this field?
Well, so you have to have a 2-year apprenticeship with a licensed funeral establishment in the state. There's also schooling that you have to do. You have to go to a accredited mortuary science school. That's typically about 2 years as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not too long. It's kind of
not too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have to pass the state board exams. When I took the exams, you also had to take the national board exams. You don't have to do that in Massachusetts anymore. I do recommend that people do take them just in case, but yeah.
So what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, one of the things I like about this industry is no day is the same. Certain days you're going in there and you're running right from the beginning, and other days you might have a few meetings with families in the morning. Every family is unique in their own way, so there is no cookie cutter same day, which is nice. I could be making arrangements with families, arrangements conferences, or I could be caring for the deceased during a certain period of time. There's a lot of different factors, so which is good.
Does it take a special kind of person to be in this industry? I mean, you must have some kind of like a certain disposition in order to do this.
Yeah, I mean, you need to have, it's not just sympathy, you need to have empathy. You have to put yourself in those individual shoes. You have to, be that caring, guiding hand, but also have the strong, broad shoulders in order to, make sure that everything is done just the way they want it, be the stability that they need to bring them on this, the first few steps in the grieving process and make that unique service that they're looking for their loved one.
I can imagine it gets very heavy for your job. How do you achieve that work-life balance?
Well, it's not like every other profession, whereas you can go in, punch in 9 to 5 and then leave. I mean, it's 7 days a week, weekends, holidays, nighttime, all of it. Even, a lot of time your family's involved. Like my father works there. My husband's getting his license. His father works at the funeral home as well. So I think between that support network helps, and also we travel a lot. I'm trying to golf more. It doesn't really love me all that much, but
You can always do mini golf. It's fine.
Exactly true. That's good.
What are the more challenging parts of your job?
I would say the more challenging parts would be, like I said, that the schedule can be quite cumbersome. You need to realize that, you could get that call on Christmas and you need to drop, everything you're doing with your loved ones in order to, answer that call for those that need you. Be able to leave your house at a moment's notice. Doesn't matter. 4th of July, Christmas, weekends, doesn't matter. I think other than that, it does. There is a lot of burnout. There's a lot of emotions you're dealing with. There is also other aspects, like you really need to be involved in your community. So not only do you have that work aspect, but you almost need to, let's say I am on multiple boards, like a former past president and current board member of Plymouth Lions Club, on the cemetery committee for the town. I am in the advisory board for the Center for Active Living for the town. There's more and more, it's just there's a lot of involvement. So
I never realized how much of a community component there is to your job, but that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What advice do you have for people who just lost a loved one? How do they begin those arrangements? I'm sure people are very overwhelmed when it first happens.
Absolutely. Not that I'm sidestepping that question a bit, but I think, one of the biggest things that I can stress with folks is to pre-plan. So if you come in, you get your wishes down, it truly is a gift to your next of kin who's going to be responsible for your arrangements. You get down everything that you want as far as services, all that information that some folks might not know. I mean, sometimes it's a couple of days before folks can come up with someone's social security number because they don't know where to find it. It really is. It's a gift to those individuals. And plus, the last thing you want to do when you lose a loved one is to sit down and have a business meeting. So when you have all your wishes and information down, it truly is an asset. Also, if you did just lose a loved one, I mean, don't be afraid to reach out right away. I mean, we're there to be a guiding hand for you, to be an asset, and make sure to surround yourself with your friends and family and bring them in with you, bring that support network with you so we can help you through, probably what is going to be some of your toughest days.
I would assume there's no real age that you should start pre-planning. I mean,
well, mine's done, but I mean, that's not saying much. I'm in the industry, but no, honestly, I think a lot of folks start looking at pre-planning usually when they're around retirement age, but there really is no age range. I mean, it's good to get your information down. It's good to get what your wants and wishes are down, because some folks they don't know. If tragically you lose someone that you weren't expecting, we'll have folks come in and sit down. I don't know if they want a burial or cremation. Do they want to go to church? I mean, sometimes they attended church. It's good to get that info down, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, for sure. What advice do you have for people who are looking to get into the industry?
So reach out to some good, credible, licensed funeral establishments and get your apprenticeship right away. I think some folks, unfortunately, aren't able to, but they end up attending school first. So then, even if you're finished with your 2 years of school, you still have to do your 2-year apprenticeship. And honestly, just like most things, it's on-the-job training, that we really learn everything. And with that apprenticeship, you get to see whether this industry is truly for you, because there is a big washout and burnout rate, for folks that just start. So I'd hate to see folks waste their time by going to school for it if they're just not cut out for the industry, unfortunately.
Now, as we mentioned before, this is a really difficult job, but do you still love it after all this time?
Yes, I do. I love it. It's more of a calling than a job, because it's not everyday life.
Yeah.
Let's face it. It consumes you 7 days a week. And I do love it. Maybe I just don't know any better. Been doing it for so long, but I do love it. I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
Right.
Honestly.
Well, we're so happy you answered your calling.
Yeah, thank you.
It was such a great time. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Hi, we're so glad you stopped by. If you'd like to support Community in Action through media, please consider donating to the local scene. The QR code will take you where you need to go. Thanks, friend.